A city of history, pirates and ghosts, and so much more. Welcome to Savannah, Georgia. Welcome to Any Way You Travel. I'm Mark, and we're glad to have you join us as we tour Savannah, Georgia. If you like the video, make sure you hit the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos. You know, during the Civil War, Union General William Sherman didn't burn the city of Savannah because he was so taken with its beauty. So let's jump in and explore. Our first stop is Forsythe Park. When General James Oglethorpe gained approval to set up a colony, he named it Georgia after King George. He laid out a city plat, which included spaces for city parks and wide streets. It was the first planned city in America. In the 1840s, the famous 30-acre Forsythe Park became the first recreational park set aside for the public in Savannah.
The colony of Georgia had its start in 1733 when General James Oglethorpe appealed to his trustees in England to establish a colony in which those who had run afoul of the law and the other colonies could come for a fresh start. And so in 1733, aboard good ship Anne, he and 120 people arrived at the bluffs of what would become Savannah.
This amazing fountain graces Forsythe Park, and it is perhaps the most well-known landmark in Savannah. The fountain was placed in Forsythe Park in 1858. However, the fountain is far from unique. In fact, believe it or not, the city of Savannah bought the fountain out of a catalog. Now, the fountain was originally placed here as a source of clean drinking water for the city's residents during an 1858 yellow fever epidemic. Ever since, it has been the crowning jewel of Savannah. This is the historic Pirates House, built in 1754, and that's not just a name. This is actually a place where real-life pirates hung out. And this is the place where Robert Louis Stevenson started his book, Treasure Island. Now, this staircase led down to the rum cellar, but according to legend, behind the rum cellar, there was a tunnel that ran from the shore to the pirate's house. It was used to carry drunk sailors back to the ship, and so pirates could come into the inn unnoticed. While the layout of the interior has changed somewhat, much of the woodwork remains the same. These are the very stairs pirates used to head up to their rooms if they were staying. I thought that was really cool. Of course, the second floor is no longer in use. Now, we're still in the Pirate's House, but this is the old herb house. It was built in 1734. However, in 1754, as the Pirate's House was being built, it was incorporated into the inn. But the original herb house is actually the oldest house in Georgia. This was once the herb house's living room, but it now serves as a dining room for the Pirate's House. In 1962, during renovations, a small arched entrance to a tunnel was found. They closed it off for safety reasons. But what could it have been? Maybe another secret passage, or a place to hide pirate treasure, or maybe it was a dungeon. Let your imagination run wild. Oh, and one more tidbit about the Pirate's House.
Savannah is supposed to be one of the most haunted cities in America. Take a look at this picture. It was taken in the Pirate's House. You can clearly see an outline of a little boy sitting on the steps.
Up next, the Bonaventure Cemetery. The cemetery was first established as a plantation, and on that plantation there was a small cemetery for family. As the plantation faded, the cemetery continued to expand, and the city of Savannah bought the cemetery in 1907. While the cemetery boasts hundreds of gorgeous sculptures, since 1993's publishing of John Barrett's best-selling novel Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, perhaps the most well-known sculpture in the cemetery is by Sylvia Shaw Judson, and it's her bronze sculpture called The Bird Girl. The sculpture was featured on the best-selling novel's cover. Shortly after that, city officials were forced to move the statue from the cemetery to the Telfair Museum. These are the historic cobblestone streets of River Street. During the 17 and 1800s, it was along River Street that many of the goods flowed into and out of Savannah. It was here that pirates mingled with mariners, and it was here through which much of the cotton commerce passed. This is the old cotton exchange. It wasn't easy back then getting from the town level to the river level. You'd have to go up and down stairs like this. And trust me, this was no picnic. It was steep, and the rises on the steps were awfully high.
Each step was about a foot to a foot and a half high. You were lifting your knees coming up those stairs.
But today there are easier ways to get down to River Street, and once you're there, you'll enjoy all kinds of stores, hotels, restaurants, and establishments where you can take a load off your feet and maybe have a drink. Pro tip, if you're like me and you love Christmas, when you're on River Street, check out Christmas on the River. They have all kinds of beautiful Christmas decorations. And if you've got a sweet tooth, also like I do, check out Savannah's Candy Kitchen. It's insane how much candy they have here. The store takes up almost half a block.
Okay, I have to admit, I think they have just about every kind of candy you could want here. And it looks delicious, so I think I'm going to indulge for just a little bit.
Or if candy's not your thing, maybe you'd like to take a tour of the Savannah River on the Georgia Queen. About a block off River Street on Bay Street is the U.S. Customs House. Customs officials oversaw the import and export of goods and collected taxes on imports. This custom house was built in 1848, replacing two previous buildings. Also, in the early 1700s, James Oglethorpe, the founder of Georgia, lived in a house on this site, and John Wesley, founder of the Methodist Church, preached his first sermon in Savannah on this site. Across the street is the beautiful Savannah City Hall. Next, let's check out General Sherman's Civil War headquarters. Savannah was the final step in General Sherman's famous March to the Sea, intended to break the spirit of the Confederacy. From December 1864 until February 1865, Sherman used the home of Charles Greene as a headquarters. Tours of this beautiful home are available. In 1943, St. John's Episcopal Church purchased the home to use as their parish house and rectory. This is the historic Andrew Lowe House. Built in 1848 for successful Savannah businessman Andrew Lowe, his son William later inherited the home. William met and fell in love with and married a young woman by the name of Juliet Gordon. After William Lowe's death, Juliet Gordon Lowe inherited the house. Having spent time in England with the founder of the Boy Scouts, Lowe became interested in Girl Guides, which was a British offshoot of Boy Scouts. Upon returning to Savannah in 1912, Juliet turned the former Lowe's carriage house into the headquarters of the newly formed Girl Guides, which would later become the Girl Scouts of America. By the way, did you know in Savannah, if your home is paid off, you have the privilege of painting your door red? Just thought I'd throw that tidbit in there, free of charge. This is the North Pier, or at least what's left of it. It may not look like it now, but at one time this was a bustling shipping pier. It was located on the south channel of the Savannah River. It was through this pier that many supplies for Savannah arrived. Also, building materials and supplies for the construction of Fort Pulaski in 1829. It was also where, on February 6, 1736, the founder of the Georgia colony, James Oglethorpe, welcomed the arrival of Anglican priest John Wesley. Wesley would go on to become the founder of the Methodist Church.
From the old North Pier, you can take a walk out to the Lighthouse.
Soon you'll come to a clearing where you can cut across the field to Fort Pulaski. Unfortunately, the fort was closed when we were there. But isn't that moat cool? During the Civil War, Union troops laid siege to Fort Pulaski for 112 days before unleashing a 30-hour bombardment and capturing the fort. After the Spanish-American War, the fort was closed. The hike to see Cockspur Island Lighthouse is probably a little over a mile out and a mile back, but it's a very easy hike. The lighthouse, built in 1856, guided ships into the southern channel of the Savannah River. However, in the late 1800s, as the North Channel became the preferred route for larger ships because it was deeper, the South Channel was no longer needed, and in June 1909, the 46-foot-tall lighthouse was extinguished. The history and beauty of Savannah, Georgia is amazing. Thanks for watching any way you travel. If you liked our tour of Savannah, please hit the subscribe button on your smart TV or mobile device. Give us a thumbs up and hit the notification bell so you'll never miss a video.